Good afternoon, Ogichidaa Giizhigat. Thank you for attending this special NAEP installment where we take the opportunity to honor and acknowledge our Ogichidaa veterans. Miigwech.
The purpose of this interview is to hear from our veterans firsthand in their own words what it means to be an Anishinaabe veteran.
Veterans Day is a federal holiday in the United States observed annually on November 11th. For us as Anishinaabe, our veterans have a special role and hold great amount of significance within our communities.
I would like to take this time now to introduce our guests. We have Ogichidaa Elder Miss Linda Wood and Ogichidaa David Pinonatiquet. So thank you for being here today. Machtada, let's begin.
Ani, my name is Amy Westcott and I work with our Native American middle school students at GRPS. I'm going to ask you each a few questions and I'm going to start with Linda. Linda, can you tell us a little bit more about your role within the United States military? When and where did you serve?
Okay, I served from 1962 to 1966. I was in basic training in Texas, Lackland Air Force Base for a couple of months, and then my permanent duty station was in Barksdale Air Force Base in Bossier City, Louisiana. And this was during the civil rights time. This was during the time that President Kennedy was assassinated. This was during the Cuban Missile Crisis time. There's a lot of significant, a lot of protesting during that time. And so it was a troubled time, so to speak, turbulent times, just as much as today, actually, maybe more so today, but yeah, that's where I served.
Wow. Okay, David, can you tell us a little bit about your role in the United States military? Where and when did you serve?
Yeah, I joined the Marines in 2007, and I did a 5-year contract because I was in the air wing of the Marine Corps. So our contracts were a little bit longer than everybody else's. So I served until 2012, and then I was in the reserves until 2015. I worked on aircraft, flew on aircraft. Yeah, I was originally trained out in California, and then I made my way to Florida, Pensacola, and then I ended my career in North Carolina.
Nice. I have another question, Linda. Why did you pick the service branch you served?
Well, I made my decision when I was in high school, actually. And my mom had a good friend, and she was in the World War II Army Air Corps. And I really admired this person, this woman, and I thought, gee, I think I'd like to go into the Air Force because I liked her and I liked how she carried herself and everything. And her and her husband were both in the Army Air Corps at that time, and it just seemed like a solution. I did not consider going to college or anything. It was way before the Michigan tuition waiver, so that wasn't even a hope on my radar. And I just knew I wanted to get out into the world and explore and have fun, and you know, when you're 18, 19 years old, that's basically all you want to do. But I made up my mind I would do that, and I did.
Nice. I know I had a best friend who went into the Air Force. We were going to do it together when I was in high school, and Air Force was it. We wanted to do it, and I backed out, and she went on and did her thing, and she stayed in there for quite some time. So
Yeah.
Air Force was really popular to me back in the day when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Thank you. David, why did you pick the service branch you served?
Well, I was in high school from 2003 to 2007, and I've always been a big news reader. So if everybody remembers the 2004 to 2007, it was, you know, the Iraq war took the headlines every day. You know, we had 10 to 20 American troops every single day getting maimed by improvised explosive devices. And so, I don't know, I thought maybe that I could make a difference in the military. So that was I always knew I was going to go into the military, and I chose the Marines because at the time I wanted to be the best. And so that's why I went with the Marines. I joined with 4 other of my friends. We all went to boot camp at the same time. One of my friends is still in today, but the rest of us got out.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Lopez, and I work with the elementary students. I'm gonna give you your next question, so I'll go back to Linda. And this question is, Linda, did you serve with any other Native Americans? If so, where were they from?
Oh, I think wherever we go, we find each other. and so I met my best friend, actually. We were both in basic training at the same time, and her name was also Linda. And we had little I won't tell you the nicknames, but we had nicknames for each other. And we were both shorties. And she was from, she was Mexican and Native from New Mexico. And so we just kind of hung out together. We were like this, and where one was, the other one was too. And people mixed us up because they thought we looked alike. I didn't think I looked like her, or vice versa. You know, we're both brown. That was basically it, you know, but she became my best friend. And as it turned out, when I was stationed in Barksdale Air Force Base, so was she. And then we were both assigned to the communication squadron, and so was she. So we just kind of went this way together for a long time, and we're still friends today. She lives in Colorado, and a couple of years back, I celebrated my 75th birthday in Colorado with her. And I called her, we were driving and out that way, and I called her. I said, so what are you doing for dinner today? She says, I don't know, I got to pick up my grandkids, you know, which is something grandmas do. And I says, well, how about we have dinner today? Where are you? And I told her, and she says, oh my God. So we both, we met after 40 plus years. And so we're still like this. And so I think the bond was very tight for those of us who are in the military, and we have close friends, and we stay that way, a lot of us. And I have other friends. I have my roommate, I still remember her, and she lives in Texas. And I just have another friend who lives out in California. So we just kind of stayed connected to each other. So yeah, we became very close.
Well, thank you. What a nice story that you shared with us, that you got reunited with your friend after your birthday. David, I have the same question for you, but I wondered how it looks a little different more in the 2000s. Did the military have a way for you to find other Native service members, much like colleges do today on college campus? There's a Native center. Did the military have anything set up like that, or were you able to find other Native servicemen as well, like Linda?
I will echo what Linda said, is that we have an uncanny ability to find each other. And you know, the military is a kind of conservative institution, but with that being said, it's more progressive today than it ever has been in the past. And so, you know, there were opportunities here and there for Native people to get together. I never, my entire time I was in those 5 years, I never met another Anishinaabe person. That isn't to say they didn't exist. They just weren't in my job field. But I will say this, I did meet a lot of Navajo people. I met a lot of Pueblo people. I met a lot of Native Hawaiians, Samoan people. And so that was really eye-opening for me because I had never really interacted with a lot of other tribal citizens throughout my life. It's always been Haudenosaunee or Anishinaabe people are the people I most closely associate with. And so kind of experience, that was like my introduction into kind of like pan-Indianism. I don't know what the word is for it, but yeah, it was a good time. We did bond. You know, I met a lot of Native people while I was in, and they're still my friends to this day.
Well, thank you, David, for sharing that. Very insightful. I do have one other question, and I'll go back to Linda for that one. Linda, what does the American flag represent to you?
Well, it represents our nation, certainly the United States of America, but it goes beyond that. It's our land. And even though each tribe has its own tribal flag, the American flag it was, when I was growing up, you know, we had the flag, and I was taught to vote early on, and I was taught to respect the flag. So it does mean a lot to me. And on Veterans Day, I'll put it out and I'll honor it that way. And actually, I thought about doing that on Saturday. I should have, but and tribes have a history. We know we have a lot of troubled history with people who came here, but for the most part, I think my being in the service was my first. Well, it wasn't my first, but it was an introduction to people of many backgrounds. And there were Black people we had in our barracks, we had two, well, back then we used to call them, you know, Mexican, but they were sisters. The two of them were sisters, and we were in basic training together. I had 2 or 3 Black friends, and people from all backgrounds, actually. And I attribute my getting along with most people to a lot of the introduction that way. So and of course, that's what that flag represents. It represents all of us, whether we choose to honor it or not. And some people don't, you know, some of our people don't, but they do respect and honor the veterans, though. I never saw it so strong as in Native communities, whether it was at a powwow or whatever. And when I first saw an Eagle staff was at a powwow, and I saw only the men up there carrying them. And I used to get curious about that. I didn't say anything to anybody, but they explained to me that it was the men who carried they called it a flag. And they said that represents our people, you know. And I just thought, well, that's nice. But then I thought, I wonder if there's one for women veterans. I mean, I thought about that back in the late 80s or early 90s. And I think a seed was planted in me during that time. And I had to be coaxed to come out and dance with the other veterans, because I thought that was just for the men. I didn't know that I didn't really think of myself as a veteran for a long time, because remember in the 60s, when we were in the military, the population here protested against the military. And they spit on veterans. They called them names for, you know, baby killers and all that kind of stuff. And so I had never told anybody I was a veteran for a long time because of that, because I didn't want to be looked down upon for having been in the military at that time. But so I know I went beyond your question about the flag, but
Oh, thank you. What a beautiful answer and response. Thank you, Linda, for your time and your thoughts on the question. David, I'll extend the question to you as well. What does the American flag represent to you?
Well, it represents the people to put it in layman's terms. Just let me say that, like, as an Ogichidaa, like, our job is to bridge gaps, not make them. So, you know, what means freedom and justice to one Native could mean slavery and extraction to another. And, you know, I'm not here to deny anybody's truth. You know, people's truth is valid and they need to be heard. With that being said, it represents the people. You know, I'm an American citizen. I'm a citizen of what I'm calling unceded territory. I'm a citizen of Canada. I'm proud of my Canadians. I'm proud of my tribal, my tribe. I'm proud of my country here in the United States. So, you know, when I see the American flag, I would like to think, it strikes those notions of justice, you know, the principles that America is founded on, not its history. I'm not here to debate and argue history. We all know the history,
yeah.
but it's the principles, you know, we got to keep our eye on the prize.
Thank you, David, for your response. I appreciate your answer. And I'll turn it over to the next interviewer.
I just want to interject really quickly there. I think that was the reason why we wanted to ask that was that so many of our, that we understand as, you know, people here, as employees of NAEP, that, you know, the flag might mean a lot of different things to many different people. But if we hold this flag up as a reminder of what our country should be, you know, and going and guiding by, you know, what it's supposed to be, not so much what it has been in the past and the history. I really appreciate that notion, but I was really curious as to how, you know, our servicemen and women would respond to that, especially as, you know, being Anishinaabe veterans, you know. So I really thank you for, you know, both of those answers. You know, when we're speaking to you from the community's perspective, you know, it was very important for us to get that perspective across, that, you know, regardless of how we feel about the flag, that, you know, this is what the flag is, a symbol of freedom and justice and prosperity for all citizens, right? Like you had mentioned. So miigwech for that.
Bonjour.
Oh, bonjour.
Castaneda Indigenous. And I am the support person for the NAEP team and also for the families and the students. And my first question I will ask Linda: what was a regular day like for you?
In the military or now? Or on Veterans Day, I don't know which.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me be more clear. Yes. What was a regular day like for you in the military?
Oh my gosh. Well, once I got to my duty place, in basic training, we all had to get up really early and go to bed early. So that was routine every day. We had a structured day. But once we got to our duty station, it was more like a job. And I worked in communication squadron, so we had shifts, you know, so I worked various shifts. I would work the daytime shift, and then I would work the swing shift, and then I would work the midnight shift, and then I'd have a day off, and then it would start all over again. If I'm working, I wore my uniform. I never went in to work without my uniform on. I mean, that was, We had different types of uniforms to wear depending on what, mostly I wore fatigues when I went to work, especially during the midnight shift or swing shift. We had 2 sets of fatigues back then, and we did have to iron our skirts like they stood up by themselves, literally, and they were so starched and everything like that. But so we had to work to get ready for work. But when we were off, like any other job, we did whatever we wanted to do. If we wanted to go off base, we did. And off base for us was in Bossier City, and right offside of base there was one bar after another. I mean, that's just the way it was. And then Bossier City, and then the next big city, it was a suburb of Shreveport, Louisiana. And so we seldom went into Shreveport. That's where the Louisiana folks were, and I didn't feel comfortable being there with them. Like I said, it's a deep South, and civil rights time, it was not a good place for a little brown Indian girl to be, actually. And so they had the water fountains, 2 separate water fountains, one for the white people and one for what they call colored. And I was offended by that because and I would ask, I said, so where am I supposed to drink my water now? Where am I supposed to go to the bathroom? I'm not white and I'm not colored, you know. And of course, they weren't very responsive to my question. But I just, it was really hard time during then. Racism was blatant. I've never seen it like that, ever. And I think in some places, even today, the signs may be gone, but it's the heart. I don't think a lot of that has changed. If we see what's going on today, even here in Michigan, you know, I could have fallen over when I heard some things once I came back home. But it's amazing to me that kind of mentality, that kind of thinking.
Well, thank you, Linda. David, I would like to ask you the same question.
Yeah, every day in the Marine Corps is really structured, unpredictable. It's structured but unpredictable, and I know that seems like an oxymoron, but I don't know. Everything that you do is based around the mission, whatever the mission of the day, the week, the month, the year is. You're a spirit de corps, which is your camaraderie in the unit. So, I mean, you wake up in the morning, you get dressed, you clean your room, you make your bed, you go for a run with all your Marines, you get in a formation, you go to work, you work for 12 hours, and then you get off and and you get loose, you party. I mean, that's every day in the Marine Corps. It's a very high stress environment. You know, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's very institutionalized, and you pick up a lot of habits in the Marine Corps. Some good, I would say most good, and then some bad. And then you get out of the Marine Corps, and then you kind of rebuild yourself back into the civilian world because it's so different.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, I have one more question, and I'm going to start with you, David. What is one of your fondest memories while serving?
Well, we did a lot of air shows and stuff like that when you know, when we had downtime as a unit. So we would travel across the United States, and we would you know, we kind of give the people air shows all over the regions and stuff like that. And back in 2010, I think, or maybe 2011, We did the Thunder over Michigan Air Show in it's right outside Ypsilanti, the Yankee Air Museum. We did an air show over there for that, and I was flying that day, and I got to fly around my hometown, and it was I don't know, it gave me so much pride and joy that like I was able to do that, and maybe inspire some young kids to do something really cool with their life. So that, I don't know, that was my fondest memory.
To Miigwech for sharing that. Linda, same question.
I was sitting here thinking about that, and I'm thinking, fondest memory. Oh my gosh. I didn't think of it in terms of that. I just thought of it as I had a good time with my friends, my sisters. I have, and like a lot of people who are in the military, we did party a lot, and I did get caught up with that. And given my background and where I was from and what I said I wouldn't do, I did, so, but my fondest memory, I don't know, it's just, I can't think of any specific thing. I have other memories where I remembered the day that President Kennedy was killed. And I was in the barracks, and we heard it over our loudspeaker and everything just came to a standstill.
Mm.
And we were ready for whatever they wanted us to do. We were taught to be ready. And so those of us who worked in communications, we went directly to work, and we had to just show up and be ready to do whatever we could. And that was a time I don't think I'll ever forget that, ever. I know it's one of those days where you remember where you were at the time something happened.
Mhm.
And that was one of my primary memories there. But as far as a fond memory, I enjoyed the military that I was in, and it was good to bond with so many other women like that, and we did. And of course, there was a lot of fellas there, and it was if you're in basic training, you're taught not to look at them, but we always looked. I mean, So it's sneaking out of the barracks in basic training with my friend, and we went to the service club for just because they told us not to.
Mhm.
That's kind of what we did. We weren't. I mean, I was happy I was in the military, but it was, we made it a fun thing, and we made it we had a job was our regular job, so to speak, and we were all given assignments and what we were supposed, and we did it. We showed up as best we could, and we just did that. But as far as fond memories, the whole time was memorable, let me say.
Well, Miigwech, Linda, for that. And I just want to say, I see McGeezy. Just want to say bonjour to McGeezy and Miigwech.
Wow.
My name is Christine Sanborn. I'm the high school coordinator for NAEP. My first question is for David. What inspired you to join the Marines?
Well, like I said before, there was a lot of things going on in the news that really shook me, and I wanted to help out, and I wanted to be the best. So I also wasn't like I wasn't a great student in high school. I was tardy a lot, or truant. I don't know. I would have rather hung out with my friends at the time. And so I didn't really have a whole lot going for me either. So once I got out of once I did graduate high school, once I got out, I knew right away that I was going to go into the Marines. And, a month or two after I graduated, I was I was on a bus to San Diego, California, and yeah, no regrets.
Awesome. Linda, what inspired you to join the United States Air Force?
Well, I kind of said it earlier when my mother's friend was on Army WAC, or Army Air Corps WAC, and she inspired me, and it kind of gave me something that I could do, something that I could set this goal out there, and it gave me something to look forward to. And that's why I went into the Air Force. And to me, I could have gone in the Army or the Navy, but it was because of her being in the Army Air Corps, the Air Force was the place for me. And that's what I wanted to do. And that's why I went in.
Thank you. The next question is going to be for you, Linda. What advice would you give youth interested in joining the military?
I'd say, go ahead, do it. I mean, if that's what you're supposed to do, follow your heart, there's a lot of benefits. I mean, like I did get help with going to school. I had the GI Bill, and I think I can still get a house if I want one, you know. So there are benefits to joining right off the bat. And I don't know, it's changed considerably since I went in, so I don't know what the benefits are right now for women or young men who want to go into the military, but it will definitely strengthen your character, and it will definitely, well, form your character, so to speak, and it'll strengthen who you are. And I think it's a good thing.
Thank you. David, what advice would you give youth interested in joining the military?
Well, do your research, you know, pick your job wisely. Don't think about what might be cool and fun now, but think about what might be useful 10 years from now. Yeah, I worked on aircraft for a long time, and it was good. At the time, I made good money doing it. I kept doing it after I got out of the Marines, and eventually I got tired of it though. So I don't do it anymore. In fact, now I'm in law school. But with that being said, like, you know, any youth right now, I would say they could do whatever they want to do. Like, you don't have to be a veteran, like a military veteran, to be an Ogichidaa. All you got to do is fight for your people and be a good role model. That's what I've always tried to do. And so whether that means, you know, fighting for water rights, environmental rights, land claims, go be a lawyer, go fight the court system, go be a police officer and change people's minds about policing. You know, just be a good person, and you're an Ogichidaa.
I will say, if I can add, is that when I went in, the job we were assigned. We didn't have a choice. I wanted to go into become a medic, actually, because I liked helping people that way. But they put you where you wanted to go. I mean, where they want you to be. I didn't get a choice. I wanted to go overseas even. I even said, well, I kind of went overseas. I was in Louisiana. But some people didn't get the humor of that, but you'd have to live there to feel it at that time, because it was not a good place to be. But yeah, I wanted to go overseas. I wanted to go to France or to Europe somewhere or wherever, you know. And if you recall, it was the beginning of the Vietnam War. Women were not combat veterans by any means. If you got married, they kicked you out. If you got pregnant, you had to leave. So there were rules for us were different. And whereas nowadays, you know, the younger women, I know some younger women who were combat warriors, and I can see it in them. You know, I can see how the military has changed over the decades, and how they're trying to incorporate women's work to go align with the men, I think. And I know I have a friend of mine who was a Marine, and and thank you, Loretta, for bringing up McGeezy, because she's what I do today. She is for this Eagle staff that I take care of. She is for women veterans. She's for all women, but she's primarily, that's why she was created. She came to me in 2011, just as the head. And in my heart, I knew immediately what I wanted to do, and that was to create an Eagle staff for women. I'd never seen one. And we still have some men here in the state of Michigan who don't want me to carry one. But for the most part, most men support me, and they will be happy to walk with me when I bring in McGeezy. And she came to me with 10 eagle feathers. She currently has 59 eagle feathers. And she's got one feather on her that's from the southern people, the condor feather. And if we follow our traditions, and we've heard how the North and the South people will come together. And so that's what that condor feather represents, us coming. And that's condor feathers just as sacred as the eagle feathers are.
Mm.
So those, I didn't ask for a single one of those feathers. People from many, many, many tribal communities, many people from very different tribal communities gave an eagle feather for McGeezy to carry. So she is with me, and that's kind of what I do even now. And I've told her story, my story, together to some students in Northport around here via Zoom like this. Not Zoom, but whatever they use there. And because we have to share our stories with our younger people.
Mm.
And they have to know these things. And so I'm really honored to be able to do that. I didn't pursue getting an Eagle staff. I didn't do anything. And I had to learn how to put the significance of the flag. She's a flag.
Mm-hmm.
She's a healing Eagle staff. All of those feathers are on her that are there for a reason. They're there for maybe alcoholism, sexual abuse, domestic violence, physical abuse, arthritis, lupus, autism, families who lost a child, diabetes. All of those feathers represent all of those, because the people who gave me those feathers, or gave them for McGeezy, had a specific reason why they wanted that feather on there. And maybe it's just to represent a family, you know. But every part of her came in a spiritual way. And if people can see her as a spiritual way for us to heal in our communities, if they see it that way, and then that's the way it'll be. Because as for others who don't hear the spirituality of it, then, you know, they still have that veil over their eyes and can't see beyond what they were taught or what they think they know. So I've learned many, many lessons with her in putting her together. And I have a friend of mine who was an Army Ranger, and he helped me with her. And the man who did the taxidermy on her head, he too was an Army Ranger. So these men stand up with me, and they really, really are supportive of us. And now I'm beginning to see other women carrying Eagle staffs. It's been a long time coming, and I think it's good because we went into the military together. There's no reason why once I got out, you know, I just stay in the kitchen all the time. You know what I mean? So one man actually kind of told me that, and I went, okay, whatever, you know, because I can't argue against anyone who has that mindset. So I just let it be. But it's an honor for me to be able to share her with whatever audience I have. And tomorrow I'm going to share with my friend from Wisconsin and share about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of about her and what I do and stuff. And you know, we've been to, I don't know, state of Washington, Oregon, California about 4 or 5 times. We went to New Mexico, Arizona, Wisconsin, New York, all across, all up and down Michigan, Ohio, various tribal communities with her. And we're invited to come, and they figure out how to get me there. They figure out how to pay for the lodging. They figure out how to feed me and all that kind of stuff. And that's as it should be, you know, so that's my main mission in life today, which is much more important to me than what I did when I was serving. Like I said, I was just a peanut when I was in the military. I didn't figure I amounted to much. I got married, and then I had to get out when my husband got out. So I couldn't serve my full 4 years because they wouldn't let me. They didn't treat us that way. So, but I'm very grateful for being here. Thank you for letting me speak a little bit more about what I do today, because to me that's more important. So
Thank you, Linda. David, would you like to share a little bit about the Eagle staff?
Yeah, I don't carry an Eagle staff. I'm not a designated staff holder. I have in the past. I've held the Wiki community staff and various other community staffs, but that's you know, that's an important role of the Ogichidaa, is that you need to be dependable. When somebody can't be there, you need to fill in. You know, you need to be able to fill in, and so that's what I've always done as a younger veteran myself. There's no shortage of Eagle staff carriers, veterans, or Ogichidaa from our communities, and so you know, I'm more often than not, I'm usually one of the youngest people that identifies as an Ogichidaa in at powwows and such, or ceremony or community events. And you know, I'm always very humbled and honored to be able to carry those staffs when they need me to. And hopefully someday I'll have gained enough wisdom in my roles to carry one with me all the time.
Thank you.
So miigwech, powerful words, powerful shares. Miigwech for all that. I do have a couple of questions. So I'm really curious as to how you both celebrate Veterans Day. What will you guys be doing this Wednesday?
eating. No.
We always do that, Linda.
No, but a lot of places like Applebee's and some restaurants will feed us. And actually, I was invited to take my car over to the Holiday gas station and say, "Oh yeah, we give them a car wash." So you know, it's a fun day. You know, it's a good day. Actually, I'm taking my granddaughter and my great-granddaughter down to Grand Rapids on Wednesday. She has a doctor's appointment there, and I'll be in the area. I don't know. I'm not going into restaurants yet
Right.
because it's too risky for me.
Mhm.
And I'd rather not, but we may go through a drive-through and pick up a sandwich on the way, you know, but for right now, at least during this time, this COVID time, you know, my tribe we're up to about 26 COVID cases now. And one of them's my cousin, and so it's serious business. I don't take it for granted. I don't take life for granted. And so I'm out there wearing my mask, and I wash my hands and keep my distance from everyone. And there are those who don't, but you know, I'm not going to risk my life. I'm sorry. I already did that. No.
Miss Shin, yes. I think we all agree, especially down in Grand Rapids, just, you know, be safe. And I think the drive-through is the best bet, but yes, thank you for that. David, what are you going to be doing this Wednesday?
You know, normally, any other year, I would have been serving food to homeless vets in the area. Usually, a past organization that I've been affiliated with, we usually do clothing drives for homeless vets before it gets cold out. That's what I would normally be doing, but COVID has made organizing very difficult. So that has been canceled this year, unfortunately.
Right.
So I think what I'm going to do is something I've been doing at least once every year, is going to visit my favorite veteran, and that's Chief Okamus, who's buried right outside Lansing. I'm gonna go leave him a little bit of tobacco so that
Yeah.
he knows I'm thinking about him.
Oh, mission, pay your respects, eh? So I guess that leads into my final question here. Because a large portion of our audience will be students, do our veterans today, our Ogichidaas, have any advice for our students on how they can honor our veterans here within this country? Any advice on that? How we can honor our veterans on Veterans Day?
Well, I think if they have any in their families,
Mm-hmm.
to tell them miigwech or thank you for them, and maybe ask them, what was it like for you? Because they won't volunteer their stories. A lot of them keep a lot of what we've been through to ourselves, but if you ask a question, they just might shed a story or two, and they'll appreciate the thank yous.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm a big history buff myself, so I like to read into the politics and the history of different time periods, and there's no shortage of conflicts in this area and whatnot. So I don't know, go visit the veterans that have passed on. There's no shortage of war memorials, and many of us have relatives. I've got relatives in France that are still buried there. Who would have thought Anishinaabe people would be buried in France, but they are.
Yes,
Buried in Belgium. They're buried in Germany, and
and
I've always
friends.
wanted to go visit them. I haven't had, the resources to yet, but eventually I will. And so I constantly think about them. I don't like pigeonhole my commitment to veterans to just one day out of the year, but
Right.
learn them, learn who they were, learn about their lives, and think about them.
Yeah.
Just put some positivity in the universe.
Well, thank you, David, for mentioning France. I mentioned that I traveled everywhere with McGeezy, all over. And last year we had the opportunity to go to France. And we went to the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And that's something for the youngsters to take a look at and find out what that is. What does that mean? So I was over there in Normandy, and we went to 3 burial sites in France. And there was a group of us, about maybe 40 of us that went over there. And we got to pray over the graves of some of those who are buried there in France. And I took a picture of this one gravesite of a soldier who was buried there, and he's from LCO, which is in Wisconsin, Anishinaabe. And so, yeah, we have our own people over there buried. And by us being there and going there, the French people have learned to appreciate who we are as Native people. And they love having us there. And they're very, very friendly to us. And because they were oppressed already by Hitler. I mean, he had taken over in France, and many of the people lost their lands and everything to the German occupation. But when we hit the beaches there and came there in 1943, then we liberated them. I can't tell you how many of them would come up to all of us, any of us who were there, who would shake our hands and give us a hug and kiss us on each cheek and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for liberating us. We haven't had to say that to anybody. You know, they're very patriotic, and even the little kids in kindergarten know about the American soldiers who came and liberated them. And they treated us with so much love and gratefulness. I've never experienced it before. It was just powerful. It was beautiful. And we were right there on the beach. We have one Native American memorial site, and there's this big, huge turtle that's there, and that's the memorial. And it's named after one of our Penobscot, Maine Native person. He lives over there now because he says when he dies, he's 90 something. He says when he dies, he wants to be buried with his buddies, his comrades that he stormed those beaches with. And he's got a powerful story.
Oh.
But to actually be on that beach and to visualize what it must have been like for those soldiers to come off of those landing boats on there was just, it's hard to put into words, actually. But I just cried when I was standing there because it was so real. It was so, and that water is from the channel between England and France. That water is just so, and of course we appreciate water so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to sing the water song there, and McGeezy was with me there, and they were totally mesmerized by her and all of us who carried Eagle Staff. There was about 5 Eagle Staffs there, I think. And but it was an opportunity for me of a lifetime. They want me to go back, but you know, I'm not a spring chicken and I'm not getting any younger, so I'm respectful of where I'm at in life, and if it's meant to be, of course I'll go, but it's not something, to me it was a memory of a lifetime. And so I appreciate that. So thank you, David, for bringing that up, because we're given many experiences that we don't really bring to our table our own selves, like even meeting with you. I mean, you weren't exactly on my agenda when Loretta got a hold of me. You know, so I get asked to do a lot of things, and I pray about it, and if it's supposed to be, it happens, you know, so that's how I look at it. But thank you, Chimigwech, for the honor of asking for my input and what has happened. Like I said, what I do today is far more important than I ever did when I was in the military. All I did then was give up 4 years of my life, basically, almost 4 years. So, and I appreciated my job, and it was a base-to-base kind of a thing, and it was just, but it was, maybe that set the groundwork for what I'm supposed to do today. I don't know. Thank you, Miigwech, for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Miigwech, Linda, and David. Do you have anything to add? Anything that you want to close with before we kind of end this amazing session for our students and our community? Is there any final things that you want to add, and maybe anything that we overlooked or we didn't include?
Yeah, I got some advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to discover, especially speaking to the young people, you're going to discover that, like, as you go older, you can't always choose the cards that you were dealt. You know, you can't choose what happens to you, and you're going to encounter some tough times. So with that being said, you know, you can't choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how to respond. And so be proud, but be humble. And I promise you the doors will open for you.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. Linda, anything else you want to add?
No, just to honor them, because the young people are the ones who are the closest to the Creator, and to treat them with love and respect. And just like us older folk, as we get closer to going home, at both ends of the spectrum, you know, that's where most of the respect comes from, you know, goes to them, to the little ones and the younger ones. And they're learning, they're still learning. As I shared with you, I had a goal even when I was a teenager, what I wanted to do. And somehow it came to fruition, and somehow I was led to go in that direction. So if they have a dream, encourage them to follow it, you know, because maybe it's in school, or maybe they'll become a lawyer or a doctor, or or the president. We have a woman now who's showing us the way to get there, you know, and it could be one of us one day. Who knows? We don't know, you know. It could be any of our young people. Wouldn't that be awesome to have a Native person be the president of the United States?
Absolutely. Well, we have roughly 175 potential students that may fit that bill. So yeah, absolutely. I'm all with you on that one. So, I would like to close this interview session up. Thank you to our students and our community members for viewing this very important segment. We hope that you learned a little bit. Please take time today to thank a serviceman or woman in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, going off of David's suggestion of learning a little bit more history, or, taking Linda's suggestion into, really acknowledging, that we had both men and women service, or even just saying thank you or reaching out to a family member that has served in some way. So miigwech to our veteran Ogichidaa guests. We really appreciate you providing this time for our program and for our students and for our community members. We are so thankful for this opportunity, and on behalf of all of us here at the Native American Education Program, miigwech for your service. So thank you.
Miigwech. Thank you.